Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Goomer22 here for another Tier List Tuesday video. Today we're going to be tiering the unused Tier 1 picks for the VDL VGC draft. So that's what we've got here. I know some trades have gone on, so I've accounted for those. So these right now are all of the available Tier 1s to be picked up. So pretty interesting. We're going to go through them. For the tiers, we've got the eyes emoji, like, okay, I'm looking at that. That's pretty good. We've got not bad, could be a solid pickup. Situational, like, it could fit your team potentially, but, most it might not be the good. And then another one's like, okay, I see why this was left on the bench. Like, you must have insanely good mods in other tiers if you're picking this as a tier 1. Things in a tier such as Regieleki and Metagross and Moltres. So all right, so let's just jump into it. Okay, let's start with Alakazam. I feel like it's situational. Super strong expanding force user, pretty high speed tier 120. But like outside of Psychic Train, I mean, you can do speed swap stuff, which isn't terrible, but it's just super frail. Like, you're not going to be Dynamaxing it most likely. I mean, a lot of people can just throw on Dark or Ghost coverage and hit you for a huge attack. Like, it's really tough to waste a tier 1 pick on a mon that you're never going to be Dynamaxing and that doesn't have huge support. I mean, speed swap's okay, but again, that's I just feel like you need one of those Psychic Train users. And again, I can kind of see why it was left on here, because if we look at the list here, we've got Tapu Lele and Indeedee Male both on there, so two of the only Psychic Train users, only Indeedee females out there. Which is who you would want to pair this with, but yeah, like I said, just too situational, I think. Okay, Azumarill. Yeah, he's gonna be our first. You must have insanely good mods if you're picking this. I mean, Azumarill's not bad, right? Huge power. You can go Sap Sipper, like you can do some interesting, like, different stuff with it, but like overall, its stats are just kind of underwhelming. If you're I feel like if you're wasting Sap Sipper on it, like, you're going to be doing some really creative stuff in that game, and it might just be too difficult to navigate. Like, if you want it for the big damage output, like, you need to set it up with like a belly drum probably. I mean, or set up Trick Room is a thing. So two ways. It just needs to be set up, and you might pick it up like if you need a fairy on your team late in the draft or something like that, or I don't know, but I just can't see you wasting a tier 1 on it. Conk. Honestly, I feel like Conk's not bad. The thing is, he gets some elemental punches, which is good coverage. Really strong Iron Fist Mach punches are super annoying. It can do some different abilities, right? It can go Guts, Iron Fist. I think Conk's pretty solid. I don't know why. I feel like what happens sometimes is people pick draft based on the meta right now, and I mean, that can work sometimes. But like right now, Conk is not used at all really in the meta, and that's because there's stuff it covers for him. But not everybody is going to have those mods on their teams, and so like I feel like a mon like Conkeldurr is kind of slept on, whereas it's not bad. Darmanitan Galar. This is tough. Man, I feel like it doesn't like fit in any of these, because like, again, it is super frail like Alakazam, but you don't necessarily need support. Like, you can just throw a Choice Scarf on this and just throw off huge hits, but it is really tough wasting a tier 1, especially when I think regular Darmanitan's a tier 2. Yeah, it's really hard wasting a tier 1 on a Darmanitan. Because, like, you're probably never going to max this. Like, you could do some funny Zen mode stuff, maybe. But I feel like that's more for the memes and, like, less of an actual good strategy. It's just, yeah, it's really hard to justify, especially when you can just, like, fake it out and then, or if you, like, set up Tailwind and then just blow it up. Like, it just, it's tough to justify, I feel like. Now, Duraludon, on the other hand, I'm like, okay. Because I feel like in draft, there are a decent amount of follow me pickups that people can do, but a lot of people get Rage Powder as well, and so that forces people to like either run grass types or run safety goggles as one of their items. And Duraludon having Stalwart is really nice just to mess with those strategies. I think, especially when people rely on follow me, just ruin setups and stuff, and can really annoy with their prep. I mean, and overall, I think Duraludon's another slept on mon. I mean. Great typing, great stats. I mean, you can just you have a couple different coverage moves you can throw on it, and even though it generally does the same stuff, like I don't know, I think you can use it pretty well. And again, you will probably be Dynamaxing in this mon a lot if you pick it. So like, I'll give it the eyes. Durant. See, Durant is the same as Darmanitan in a way, except for the fact that you can Dynamax it effectively, and that's why I'm going to say not bad. Or maybe I'll say situational. Just like if it fits your team. Yeah, it's probably not bad. Because it has some good speed. I guess a lot of people can just throw fire coverage on, though. That makes it really tough. Yeah, I am gonna say situational, actually, because I think you do need some like some other mons to kind of help it, because since so many people get fire moves, like it's really easy in draft just to throw fire coverage on to ruin a Durant, and it is so frail, especially on the special side. Like I think you need a little bit of support, maybe some interesting tech stuff, but like, and you could make it work, but it is probably situational based on the team. Okay, Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn's not bad. I don't know if it's eyes, but it's close. But I mean, because you can Dynamax it, you can run some different sets, I think, which is really useful in draft. Like you can do Iron Defense, Body Press. You can do Leech Seed Stall. You can just do offensive like Assault Vest. It gets knockoff, which is great, especially when you're doing since you're doing 3 sets or 3 games in a set for draft. Like using knockoff to figure out your opponent's items is really useful. I mean, in good typing, obviously the fire is annoying, but like otherwise defensively, it's pretty solid. Gothitelle. I mean, Gothitelle's another not bad. I mean, Shadow Tag is a super useful ability. Can really, really mess with people's strategies. It gets Fake Out, gets Trick Room, gets some good support moves. You could actually potentially run it like offensive and competitive, and so that could deter some of those strategies. So that's actually not bad. Like, Gothitelle's pretty close to eyes. It's just, there are just a lot of good bonds in tier 1, so I don't know if I can quite justify that, but like, you're getting there. Gyarados. Gyarados has Moxie and Intimidate. You can run some different abilities. And again, I feel like Gyarados is another one of those mons who was just totally slept on, because in the meta right now, there's a ton of electric types like Zapdos and Regieleki running around. But like, okay, not everybody has that. Like, Gyarados is still really solid and really annoying to deal with. And you can support it with a lot of Lightning Rod users. So I was gonna put Gyarados in the green tier, but I feel like it's not bad. Like, because you can run it differently. Like, you could theoretically even run like special and like do some weird stuff with that. I think anyone with like Stab Max Airstream, especially with like the Moxie, like Gyarados can steamroll and you have to respect it. And yeah, like I said, like not everybody has those super good electric types in their team. So Hydreigon, again, I feel like it's not bad. A little bit slept on. I mean, I think the fact that before Moltres, it was basically one of the only like stab special dark users, which is amazing for like dark pulse or like max darkness, because you can just steamroll with like lowering your opponent's specialty and then just, you know, hitting the other mon that just got its specialty lowered, and then just keep switching back and forth and just really going hard. You know, Levitate's a pretty good ability. It gets some good coverage moves for sure too. It is, I mean, it is tough to necessarily justify a tier 1 on it. I guess that's why I was left on the bench. But like, I mean, not everyone has great fairy types, and even then, like, it gets flash cannon. So, and it actually has pretty high attack too. So you could run it physically, which would be interesting. But I think it's not bad. Indeedee Mail is situational again. I think it's only good if you do pair it with another big expanding force user. Otherwise, I mean, just the psychic terrain itself isn't worth it enough, I think, for the tier 1 pick, especially based on its stats. It doesn't get too much. It doesn't get a lot of coverage, and because it gets expanding force, you're just gonna want to run that like pretty much all the time. Yeah, I don't know. I can definitely see why it was left on tier 1. That's a really tough mod to tier, I feel like, too, because if you put it in tier 2, extremely solid tier 2. Put it in tier 1, not great. So that's tough. Kingdra, obviously situational. You know, amazing on rain teams. Super powerful. I think there are some other good rain abusers. So I'm not sure if anyone really went rain. I think Pelipper was left on the bench too. It might be tier 2 or 3. So like that's probably another reason why Kingdra was left on the bench, because not many people had solid rain teams. But like, I mean, Kingdra's using the Players Cup with Politoed, super strong. Definitely have to respect it. Weather teams are very scary in draft, so if somebody had that and wanted to pick it up, could be really useful. Latias just got dropped. I mean, Latias has got amazing coverage, pretty good stats, except for defense maybe, but like, you know, pretty fast. Gets like Tailwind, Heal Pulse, like some supportive stuff. Ally Switch with Levitate, super annoying. I mean, need I say more? Marowak Alola. Oh man, Marowak Alola is pretty strong, but it is going to go situational for two reasons. One, you kind of need a Trick Room mode, but again, two, like, it's a Lightning Rod user, and you know, it has those two abilities which are really nice in draft, but it is a solid Lightning Rod user pickup. The thing is, I think the thing is, it's like when it's a Lightning Rod user, it's kind of weird because it's like you're picking it as support, but you also want it to be really offensive. So like, I don't know. It's weird having a support, like having a support feature on like an offensive mon, I guess, if that makes sense. But it could definitely be really useful on some teams. I mean, not every team necessarily has a Trick Room mode or needs Lightning Rod. So I think that is situational. But I was pretty close to putting that in the eyes of not bad. Like it is super strong. And what's nice is you can throw, I mean, you know, you're going to throw Thick Club on it most of the time. You could mix it up on some of your opponents and not do that, but with that Thick Club, you're not wasting other items. So I think that's another cool feature, is that, you know, you don't have to waste like a Life Orb on it to get damage output. You just throw a Thick Club on it, and you can save those other items for your other Pokemon that week. So that's pretty cool. Mimikyu, I just don't think it's that good. I don't know. Somebody pick it up and prove me wrong. But why would you waste your tier 1 on a Mimikyu? Oh my gosh. Like, that's all I have to say. All right, Nihilego. Nihilego's getting the eyes. Same type of thing as Marowak, where like you can run Power Herb on Nihilego, and like that way you don't have to waste other items on Nihilego. I do think it, but like you don't have to run Power Herb, right? That's only if you're running Meteor Beam, which you don't have to. You could run just Power Gem, and like it's super strong. Can definitely steamroll teams. Pretty fast, so people have to respect it, which is annoying. And like the special bulk is solid. I mean, a lot of people do get ground coverage, but I think it's really, really scary, especially with like stab poison. And what's amazing about Nihilego and I guess Naganadal in the same fashion is that like you get a kill with a max ooze and you're doubling your special attack because you just if you pick that as your highest. But yeah, you're doubling your special attack because you have the max ooze boost and the beast boost, and I think that's really scary, especially because max ooze kind of starts lower, and so you have to get those boosts to make it like similar to other max moves. But just doubling it right off the bat, that's really good. Ninetales is just situational. I mean, Ninetales gets some cool stuff. Like you get fake tears, and like setting up Sun can be nice to mess with your opponents, especially if you have like mons that don't want to be hit. In fact, like you don't want to be hit with max flares, or don't want to be hit with water moves. My bad. So like you can just support other like rock, ground, or fires with Ninetales. So that's kind of cool. It gets hypnosis stuff, which is kind of annoying, but that's more gimmicky. But yeah, like if a Sun team, if you want a fast Sun sitter, I mean, obviously most people prefer Torkoal, and so if you're making a Sun team, you pick up those. But like, I mean, Ninetales is kind of solid if you're going that route. Porygon 2, I feel like it's, for one, look at the eye. Look at the eye. That's like the same eye. Has to go in the eye tier. Same eye. Wow, it actually really looks like they took the eyes from that. Like that is too similar. I just noticed that. Okay, but anyways, yeah, I feel like Porygon 2 is really solid. I think I don't know if people watch like Players Cup 2 matches, but there's a couple rounds when Porygon 2 even Dynamaxed because it's a it was good for that situation. Gets really good coverage, downloads a great ability. You could do some weird like cool trace stuff too, so that's neat. And I think is the other one that gets analytic, maybe that could be really useful. And yeah, I just think like super solid Trick Room setter. Like I guess maybe people didn't want to go Trick Room mode, but like if you did, like honestly, there are some, because I think there are some super solid like lower tier Trick Room mons that people just like don't bother with because they don't go for a solid Trick Room mode. But like you could definitely go for that and get Porygon. Problem is you're always going to be running Eviolite, so like I mean, but it is the same at Dusclops, so you know that they're probably not running Mental Herb or something like that. But like I said, like Porygon gets some good coverage and damage output, unlike Dusclops. I mean, Dusclops is a little bit more stally, but you do get recover. So I don't know. I mean, like Porygon 2 is really annoying to deal with, and so I think it could be a solid pickup, especially if you need a stronger Tricker mode. Raiku's not bad. I mean, it's just not. It's not like overwhelmingly good or anything, but like, I mean, it's got solid all-around stats, inner focus, so it can't be flinched, even though it's probably gonna be rain special. I mean, it's fast and it's a strong special attacker, and that's kind of it. But like, you still have to respect it. I feel like if you see it on the opponent's team, and so and I guess if like other strong electrics got taken, you could go Raikou. Like if you really needed a strong electric and Zapdos and Regieleki got taken, like you could just go Raikou. But I feel like people just opted to like pick up lower tier electrics or something like that, and so maybe that's why I got left. But I feel like it's not bad. Now, Rotom Wash, maybe people are going to consider this a hot take. It's going nice. it's the thing is you can max it. It gets nasty plot, so we can set up, especially if you have like a follow me user who can allow Pokemon to set up. Like that's really useful. It gets Will-O-Wisp. It gets Electroweb, I think. It gets some some interesting moves. And so it gets Ally Switch, super annoying with Levitate, obviously. I don't know. I feel like you can do a lot of stuff with Rotomosh, and I think it's kind of slept on. Again, because of the meta thing. Because right now in the meta, it's not used, so people are like, oh, it's not that good. But in draft, totally different game. People cannot think of draft like the meta right now. It's a totally different beast. And so I think Rotomosh could be a super solid pickup for some people. And another thing right now is I feel like people are mostly getting most of the game or second round matches have been done. People are kind of seeing how their team operates, seeing who they like Dynamax, seeing who they how their team fits together. And for some people who are doing well, maybe they feel like they can get a little bit bigger edge by picking up some of these. And or for people who are not doing well, like you might want to go for just like a total team change and pick up some of these. Like swapping out of tier 1, I feel like can totally shift the dynamic of your team. And like for you might swap for like a low chlorophyll user and Ninetales, or like Kingdra Pelipper, and just swap out tier 1 and tier 2, and all of a sudden bam, you've got a Rain Core, and your team like threatens up some of your other matchups like that. Like there are some really good trades people could make still. And so I think especially for people who are doing too hot or feel like they, maybe their games were a little too close and they need some more strength, pick up some of these bonds and make a change early rather than waiting until it's 5 games in and you're like, crap, I don't know if I'm going to make playoffs. I'm 1-4, and it's like, well, if you need to change something, do it early, and then that way it sets you up for later down the road. But you don't want to wait until you're in a bad position. All right, Salamence, definitely. I mean, come on. It's got Intimidate, it's got Moxie, so it's similar to Gyarados, but I feel like it has a little bit better utility and stats. It does have a double weakness, though, like Gyarados. Like Gyarados has Electric, and this has Ice. And I guess the difference with Gyarados is Gyarados has Lightning Round support, whereas you can't really do that with the Ice with Salamence. But I just feel like Salamence has some better stats and utility, but they are pretty similar. They're very similar for sure. But yeah, I think Salamence is a super solid pickup that people sleep on again. Snorlax, come on. The problem is this isn't Gmax Snorlax too. Is like if people want a Snorlax mode, they're probably picking Gmax Snorlax because the niche of like the berry, the Gmax Replenish is there, but you're gonna want Snorlax in Trick Room most likely, so the max strikes actually go against you, which is kind of annoying. And I mean, you could do some weird like recycle stuff or something, and Snorlax has pretty solid stats all around. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like when people see a Snorlax, they're not super scared. They're like, all right, he has a Snorlax. Like, don't let him set up or something like that with a belly drum. But the problem is you don't have that Gmax Replenish with normal Snorlax. Like that's just a huge problem there. So you probably have really other good Pokemon that are helping Snorlax if you're picking that. But like, I mean, I guess some people could. I don't know. I mean, Thick Fat's a solid ability too. You can mix up your abilities, which I guess is nice. A nice feature of Snorlax. Okay, Talonflame, definitely a solid bond. Problem is you probably won't max it that much. I mean, you could, which is nice. Like, only Pokemon with priority max Airstream, so that's pretty cool. So I mean, that is really neat. You can run Will-O-Wisp, you can run Defog, you can run some cool stuff on Talonflame, and having Tailwind support is really nice, um, especially in draft. And so I don't know. I feel like Talonflame's actually pretty solid. I feel like it just doesn't have enough damage output for people to justify it for tier ones. I feel like that's what happened for a lot of people, but like I don't know. I feel like you can definitely create a solid team in draft with Talonflame, especially one with 24 coaches where you have a limited selection of mons. Um, yeah, I mean, I like it. I know some people don't like Talonflame, but I think it's pretty solid. Tapu Bulu. This is tough, but I feel. Oh my gosh, this is tough. I don't know. Maybe I'm underrating him, but I feel like Tapu Bulu, you do need more support. I mean, without Grassy Glide, it's just so underwhelming. I mean, obviously, it is the only other Grassy Terrain setter compared to Rillaboom, but it's just tough because, like with the Psychic Terrain stuff, you can set up Psychic Terrain, and then both of your rounds can do Expanding Force and deal huge damage to both opposing Pokemon, and it's really scary and really threatening. But like, if you set up Grassy Terrain and your other Pokemon can use Grassy Glide, like that's nice, but it's not like game changing. I feel like to where it makes Tapu Bulu like that's special. Whereas Rillaboom gets it itself, so it doesn't have to. You don't have to run two grass types in a match. So that's pretty nice. But I mean, it's fairies, but yeah, I just feel like it's kind of underwhelming. Like again, it has I feel like the same problem as like I forget who I said it with. Yeah, Indeedee Male, where like super solid tier 2. Like you would, if it was tier 2, 100% it would be picked up. But as a tier 1, it's really hard to justify. Tapu Lele, on the other hand, I almost want to put it eyes, but I guess I'll put it not bad. I just I feel like it's pretty solid. I mean, it has a ton of offense. It doesn't have that Expanding Force, but the Fairy typing is kind of nice. And I think it has like it has 95 speed, I think, which is actually a decent speed. I feel like, I mean, it just got dropped again. And I feel like Psychic Terrain is a little bit more useful than Grassy Terrain too, not just because of the boosts of your attacking power, but it can really mess with like fake out stuff and other priority strategies. So like, I feel like I feel like it's more much more useful there. And I don't know. It seems really scary because you pretty much need like Steel, Poison, or I mean it's kind of like Fast Headering, right? Because they're super strong special attackers, but you just don't need Trick Room set up. So I think that's pretty cool. And then last but not least, Tornadus Therian. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to put this in eyes too. Like, I thought it was pretty solid, but it is tough to justify your tier 1 pick on it. The thing is, like, okay, 121 base speed, that's a really good speed tier. 110 special attack, 100 attack, that's pretty solid. And having being able to go special or physical in draft is really annoying because it really messes with people's preps. I actually get some really good coverage on both of them as well. And like, I think it has 80, 80 defense and 90 special defense, I think, and like 79 HP. So like, it's not frail by any means. I mean, having stab max airstream again is really, really useful. And I feel like Tornadus Therian is definitely slept on a little bit. Like, it might be hard to waste your tier 1 on it, but I think it'd be interesting to try out. I feel like people haven't tried it out enough. I mean, Regenerator is a cool ability too, because on somebody like a Mungus, like, right, it's annoying because he just sticks around a long time. But like Tornadus, you can throw off a big move, you might get hurt, and I feel like you're bulky enough to where if you switch out and you want to come in later for another, like, you have 121 base speed, so you can come in later and get a revenge kill. And if people go into you, like, I feel like you are probably bulky enough to survive. So that can be really, really annoying. And it gets Tailwind too, so like it's not useless on the support side as well, even though based on its stats you're probably going to be using it offensively. So I feel like it's a little bit slept on and not bad. So let me know if you guys think this is right, if you think I like totally messed up something, if you're looking at this and you're like, dude, Tapu Bulu S tier, Rotom Wash trash. Like, let me know, put it in the comments. Would love to hear it. I think this is pretty fair, this is pretty solid, and this is what I'm going with. And again, if you guys enjoyed this stuff, hit me up with a like or a subscribe, and let me know if you want to see more stuff like this. So that's gonna be it for today's Tier List Tuesday, and Goomer22 out.